Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Alan, we have got to air it out. We have got to stream it down the road. We have got to keep on rolling here in Atlanta. Let me tell you what just happened today.
What just happened today?
Well, we are starting our podcast, and it is another great week. And I tell you guys, I listen to podcasts while I'm driving around. I go out and do estimates with my guys, especially when I'm training new guys. Today, I had to run 3 estimates on my own. And as I streamed to get back here to the podcast studio of the Small Business Safari, I said, I've got to go to the bathroom. And I reached down and realized for the last 3 hours, my fly had been down.
Oh, so for 3 estimates, now
I was flying the freak flag, Alan. I had it all wide open and showing everything.
So now this is a good data point. Yeah. What was your close rate with the fly down?
So funny enough, I do think I'm 2 for 3. I didn't even think about that. That's right. I said,
so either they're impressed or they feel sorry for you one way or another. It could work.
And we've all been there in sales, man. You think you're on, I tell my guys, right, the most important person in the world is that person I'm about to go talk to. I'm totally focused. I'm 100% laser focused on you for this entire appointment. And I tell everybody, check your appearance. My shirt was tucked in clearly, because that's how I knew
it was sticking up.
Because it was sticking out the fly, letting everybody know, with my red shirt coming out of my khaki pants. So we're having one hell of a day as an entrepreneur, getting ready to listen to another great entrepreneurial story and hopefully dispense some awesome advice for everybody. But there it is, Alan.
I love your candor. And you are just a transparent man.
I am. I bear it all, as it were.
Yes, you do.
I shoot it all.
You lay it all out.
I laid it all out there. She was a flying. Hello, everybody. Look at me. I am so confident. I can definitely redo your bathroom. There we go. And here we go. And we're off and rolling. We've got a great guest today. So Alan and I, we talk a lot about networking, and I get a lot of energy out of it. I love going. As Alan does remember, Alan, I was the president of the NARI Association here in Atlanta.
Let's see, what was that, 2 minutes before you mentioned something like that?
As long as I had it. And I got a chance to meet Tino at one of these events, and he came up and says, hey, I got a cabinet company. And I said, okay, yeah, it's good. We'll talk about cabinets because obviously I deal with cabinets. I want to find another good cabinet supplier. Always looking, to improve. And then the more we started talking about it, I was like, wow, you've got a really cool story. And he started explaining the story and what they're doing and how they're trying to get into the market. And just like everything, there's a lot of competition in this market. But he's talking about how he's going to market with his unique strategy and his niche. And I was like, man, I got to get you on the podcast.
I mean, it sounded like a game changer to me.
So
he's changing the industry.
Right. So what threw me off was he handed me his card, and his card says, hello, Baru. And my first thought was, oh, hi, Baru, I'm Chris. And he goes, no, my name is Tino. I'm like, oh, right. I said, let me look again. Don't correct me, Tino, please. No, he did not. He was great.
So was your fly up then?
But I don't know. I hope
you got his name wrong and your fly's down.
So check this out. Are you supposed to tell somebody their fly's open or not? What is the appropriate thing to do in
you just hope it goes away, I think.
You don't say it.
No. Nobody you do.
But you don't to somebody you just meet.
Not to the person trying to sell you a remodeling job.
Right. Hey, man, I know you're trying to sell me, but I don't need that much. You know what I'm saying? Let's put that thing back up. Whoa, hello. That's not what we're selling here at the Trusted Toolbox. We've got Tino Go from Hello Baru. Welcome, Tino.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Tino, did you check your fly while I was telling that story? I was just asking.
Even with someone I've just met, I will take them aside and say, hey, check your fly.
I
because
think Tino's onto something. He is a better person than you, Ellen.
Well-
He is making sure that I'm not out there flying it all out there for everybody.
I'll tell somebody they've got salad in their teeth.
Oh.
But to say that your fly's open implies you've been looking at their crotch.
I never took it
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I see your point. It's just that I always appreciate it when people point out my my blunders, and
Thank you, Tino.
you know,
I must appreciate it too because people keep pointing out my blunders quite often, regardless of the product.
that builds
So-
resilience.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
It builds character, as my mother used to say.
Oh, my dad said that too.
Oh yeah, it's just building character. So Tino, tell everybody about Hello Baru and what you guys have developed. Then we're going to back up and how you got into all this.
Yeah. So first of all, Baru means new. I was born in Indonesia, but it happens to mean new in Indonesian, but more relevantly, it's a generic word that does not. That's kind of cute, but it doesn't mean cabinets because we're building a digital manufacturing platform and marketplace.
So let's talk about this digital manufacturing platform. Try to explain this to the audience about how you guys are unique in the cabinet business.
Well, let me tell you how I started this. So I was a CFO overseeing a really large company, and I wanted a custom bookcase for my house. And I was so frustrated by the medieval process to get a custom bookcase made that when I left that company, I started looking at this industry. You know, the process involved finding someone, getting referrals, someone that maybe you could trust, and then you'd call repeatedly. They'd never call you back. You finally end up, down the industrial park. You knock on the garage door, and someone peeks out the door and say, "Hey, who are you?" And then paper drawings, and then computerized drawings, and revise and resubmit until finally they show you the right price and the right picture. And I thought, oh my God, this is ludicrous, because I had been taking my sons to Maker Faire, which is a digital production, 3D printing, screen to machine type of hobbyist Maker Faire for 10 years at that point. And I thought, how is it that an industry with all this advanced machinery is not taking advantage of what it's capable of to make people's lives easier? And so that was enough of a question that made me look at this industry, cabinet making, furniture making, when I left that company. And so while I was looking for a job, while I was doing fractional CFO work, I was looking at this idea. And I realized that the industry would never be able to evolve on its own because you have high volume producers, centralized manufacturers, or you have these localized job shops doing all the custom work. They were so embedded in their practices that they would never be able to evolve the industry. But at the same time, I saw that there were thousands of underused CNC machines, these cabinet making machines that cost between $250,000 to $500,000, and they were only in use a couple of hours a day at the best cabinet makers throughout the country, throughout the world. Because these machines are digital, I thought, hey, if I could create the software that transformed desire and a payment into machine instructions, I can loop these underused machines into a virtual factory. And the localization of manufacturing plus the on-demand allows for fast customization and elimination of the entire distribution cost structure. And as a former CFO or transitioning CFO, I knew that if you could eliminate distribution, that's elimination of 60% of cost of sales or 40% of revenues as a savings. And that's the idea. DoorDash meets cloud kitchens for custom cabinet manufacturing.
And there's a little bit of Airbnb in there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Underused assets.
Yeah. So just think about those. So cabinet maker meets DoorDash meets Airbnb. They have a baby, and hello Baru. It's new.
Yeah.
All right.
Cute little baby Baru.
And here comes baby Baru. So tell us how this works, and because you're right. Today, if I'm a homeowner,
He just did.
no, but if I'm a homeowner, how do I give you my idea, and then you produce it for me? Or if I'm a contractor and I do it, talk about how you've eliminated that process. Because today we still do the paper, the digital. Tell us how you do it.
Because you haven't evolved.
Yeah.
And you have medieval practices, is what he said.
Well, at least he didn't call me a caveman, so I'll take that. I mean, I'll take medieval over caveman.
You've
I've been called
evolved
a caveman
from a
too.
caveman to medieval.
Oh, grok, me like wood. I chew wood now. I make cabinet.
Yeah, so we're a virtual factory, and if a homeowner comes to us, they recognize that they're going to be able to save between 40 and 60% relative to going direct to a custom cabinet maker. But I will refer a professional to them because they can't figure it out themselves unless they want to. It's a website, they can order. If it's for the garage, I probably won't even care. But if it's for a high-end build, well, I refer a professional to them, whether it's an architect or a designer or a contractor slash installer, because they need, the homeowner is never going to know that walls skew and ceilings bow and floors dip at the wrong places, and they don't know any of this stuff.
Amen to that, my friends. I can promise you that you've had to explain that to everybody. Well, this was a perfectly square wall. And I said, well, let's go back to this. The word is no, it's not perfectly square. There's no such thing in a home. Everything has to, and we have to allow for it. So we got to figure out where we're going to hide this gap. Well, that seems disingenuous. Well, he didn't say disingenuous. He says, well, we shouldn't have to hide gaps. I said, well, you do in construction, friends, because that's what we have to do. So you're right. It's best with professionals. So if you're a professional on your website, are you looking for us to upload certain drawings? How do we get from concept to completion?
Yeah, at this point, we have a configurator. So what I suggest people do is when you're doing the drawing, have our catalog already in mind. So that way, every of the 250 cabinet models, they're all continuously available in continuous dimensions, height, width, depth. And then you can add any material or door style that we can buy in a region. And so have the library in mind as you're designing. And then you can simply order those cabinets in the precise dimensions that you need. And all of the pricing is dynamic. And we price not by customization. We don't charge for customization. We charge by per square inch of material. So you can choose a $2.50 a square foot melamine to, $25 a square foot material. But we've eliminated the manual engineering, and we've minimized distribution costs to hyperlocal, generally less than a 1-hour drive, factory to job site. And so that's how you start. You start with a library in mind as you're designing, and then as you're designing, you have a firm grasp of, okay, how much this is going to cost. If it starts, the customer wants Shinoki at $15 a square foot, and you extend it out, and they realize they can't afford it, then you can propose a very similar alternative at $4 a square foot, made by Edgar.
So if I'm the consumer, I want a new kitchen done, I reach out to your company, you find me a local kitchen designer, we come up with whatever we want, then the designer works with you, and then the designer then runs point on the project, and they use their installers, or is that something that you're involved with as well?
No, we are simply a website that allows anyone to order custom cabinets without skilled people to order custom cabinets without the shop drawing process.
Okay.
Love that.
Okay, so everything is done locally, and it's whether it's your architect or your designer or whatever, they're basically the project manager, the point person, but they're using your service, they're sourcing, and that the savings comes from just the the sheer cost of materials and the savings on the delivery and the distribution, as you said.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the
I get it. I
efficiency
get it.
gain.
Did I get it?
You're
You
not
did?
doing
Okay.
revise and resubmit cycles with your cabinet maker. It's 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 one website, it's one configurator. Everyone reviews that one form, that one sales order. And once everyone's in agreement that, yeah, that does need to be 12 and 5/8 inches, then you can place the order, make the payment. We purchase the materials and we send the machine instructions to our local fabricator that we've already pre-approved and we've pre-synced our software with.
And so if there's any customer service issue, does it end up going to that local fabricator or that?
Yeah, it
Okay,
comes
you're
to
sure.
us, but we collaborate with our local fabricators very well because we don't we pay them their standard rates. In California, we're paying $125 an hour for labor and $65 a sheet for CNC time. And but their costs are for electricity, screws, glue, and assembly, if the customer chooses assembly. And so they're earning their standard rates, but they're dropping between 70 and 90% to their pre-tax line.
All right, so you can choose either ready to assemble or assembled cabinets
Yeah.
on your site as well, and then obviously installation not done by AI, Alan, still has to be done and not by a robot. So that's why I picked this business. I'm feeling good that the robots aren't going to take us all out, but that's where the efficiency gain goes, and it's hellobaru.com, right?
Yeah.
That's where you go to check this thing out. So, how long have you guys? Let's talk about the business side of this now. You had this idea, you had the incubator. Did you go into the partnership? How did you build that business plan for this idea?
Yeah, so I'm a solo founder. So I started I spent 4 years working and investigating the idea. And even as I was talking with people, very prominent designers were placing orders for custom furniture from me. It was wild. So I learned how to draw in CAD and I went to the Amish shop an hour and a half away and had it made and, very early investigations. And then I decided, okay, there was a business model to be had here. And so I found my first co-founder who was a cabinet maker. And that initial test was around, okay, distributed manufacturing, distributing the CNC instructions. And our first customer was Google employees during COVID. They were all setting up home offices and they were getting a stipend for home offices. And I was, as a solo founder, we were doing custom desks. So sit-stand desks, drawers, which was it's still a scarcity. And during that 6-month program, we sold, I don't know, $70,000 in desks and made in 12 cities around the country, 15, 16, 17 different manufacturers. So that was the proof of concept. Yeah, this marketplace, two-sided marketplace would work. And then one of our manufacturers in California said, why don't you get into kitchens? So I moved out to San Francisco in 21, 22, sold a few hundred $1,000 in kitchens, but we executed this the old-fashioned way. I hired an engineer to produce the drawings, and then we had them cut at one of our local partners. All of that was so I would understand how this industry works. That's where I learned that walls bow and ceilings dip and wave and floors do all the skewness. But I wanted to understand, okay, if I took the time and resources to develop the software, was there still a business that popped out, profit? And I was convinced that there was, and thus, I bootstrapped with some angel investment, also 550,000 of angel investment in 23 and 24. We developed the software. Now we have a functional software that is a configurator. With the next angel check, I'll be able to integrate that with a design tool. We can offer this free design tool on our website, And so if Chris, you stop your subscriptions of 2020 with 2020, you'll save $3,000 per seat. And you can use our design tool for free, order from any manufacturer because I'm leaving every other manufacturer's library catalog on there. But already as a user on the site, if you need customization, you just simply use our library. And eventually people will just discover that our custom pricing is really competitive with even Home Depot at a given quality level.
Wow. This is, I mean, again, seeing an opportunity, and you're right, looking at an antiquated business model that is cabinetry. And I've seen other people enter. And like I said, I was looking for other cabinet folks. Well, I haven't investigated Hello Baru. I have not. I can't tell you guys I can endorse him yet. I wanted to get him on the podcast, learn a little bit more about his business. I thought the story was amazing. And I just got to find the opportunity to go explore it because similar to what Tino said, I think there's some great points in there, right? I've got a proof of concept, or I had an idea. I had to do it the old-fashioned way. And here's what I had mentally when you said that, is that you put this idea out there and says, look, I've got this completely integrated. I don't know how you sell, but I would tell everybody I was a lot bigger than I was. Listen, I've got a whole network of people who are going to make my cabinets. Okay. So you just tell me what you want. Oh, you want some furniture? Oh, yeah, we do that too. And then you say, well, let me turn that over to my production team and I'll get back to you. And then you turned over and you started writing. You go, hey, I got with my sales, with my production team. I think we can make this happen. Let me just find out when we can get that delivered. And then you ran over to the Amish guys and said, hey, how long is this going to take? You went back and said, listen, I talked with my production, talked with my scheduler. I can get you all scheduled in like 2 weeks. And then did you install, did you deliver the furniture yourself?
I made two deliveries. One was to Anna Maria Manarino, the president of ASID in New Jersey, because I wanted to get face to face with her and figure out how, as the president of ASID New Jersey, she was ordering from Tino Go in Cleveland. Who the F is this guy?
Right.
It's just
Oh, and
like,
if you got her endorsement, that would be massive.
That's right. Getting from the East. That's awesome. So I could just see it because that's I'd make it sound like I was huge. And then when I showed up, they're like, weren't you the sales guy? Well, one of my guys was sick. So yeah, here I am. Just, I helped him out on the delivery. No big deal. Hey, don't forget, here's my business card. Well, my whole team's behind me. Cheers, everybody. Team of
yeah,
one,
so
but it looks like 20.
it was a lot of investigation, founder led and data capture and really trying to understand what the pain points were. And
Yeah.
the fact that a very prominent designer was ordering from some guy that she happened to meet one day talking about this idea was wild. But now it's yeah. So that was the early days. Um, I don't know. I lost track.
All right, so I'll get you back on track. So that's 23, 24. Here we are in 26. I now you do have a team. Tell me how you've scaled this business to be able to deliver or to get this out. How are you going to market? I met you at a networking event for NARI. I mentioned that, didn't I?
Because you were the president.
Thank you, Alan. Okay.
He was waiting in line to kiss your ring. Is that?
He was.
Okay.
And it was hard
On my
because
knees.
yeah.
Yeah, you know how it goes, Tino.
That's right. Actually,
Welcome to my world.
Tino could attest because Alan won't even go with me to the NARI events. He goes, I can't take that. I can only take
Throw
you.
up in my mouth a
I
little
can only
bit.
take you 1 hour a week on the podcast, big guy. So that's funny. So today, how have you operationalized it? Where are you at now in your growth stage and the way you've done it?
Yeah, so we concluded our beta in 2025 with the configurator works. Um and the since so I came back to the Bay Area to market founder-led sales, a lot of networking, a lot of industry events. Our sales pipeline has grown to around 800,000 year to date. And but they're real estate projects. They're long lead times. I'm still seeking angel investment, and but there's good potential, and it's this all the signals are right. And so 4 weeks ago I presented to AIA, the American Institute of Architects in San Francisco, with one of our architect clients, and so What we presented was, I presented the current state of the industry, how we're using technology to change it. And then Zach, our architect client, he presented how he uses the technology and the tool to even to help maintain control over design intent, cost control, and de-risking the project. Because we provided all of that pricing and constructability information upfront. So he's not designing in a void of information, because typically architects, if they're not aware of what we're doing, they'll design, and then it goes to a GC to get bid out. Some GC wins it, and then the design goes to the subcontractor. And then the design intent gets completely lost when they realize that, you know, the project can't afford 4x the initial budget idea because of the design. So it gets value engineered the heck out of. Yeah. And
So you get to that
so,
right up front.
Yeah, so you do a lot of
yeah,
that. That's
exactly.
that's the because you actually hit on what the caveman Grok over here would about to say. Me say, architect don't know what he wants to do. I tell you how to do it better. I do better. I save you money. And you
It's
don't.
tune, what
Yeah.
the customer wanted, what the contractor saw, what the architect designed, all the way down. And then they ended up with a camel with, three swings hanging off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So he's saying that, wow, that's great endorsement for your architect friend. That's the kind of stuff you obviously, when you go check out hellobrew.com, everybody, go check this. If you're in this business doing cabinetry, obviously it's interesting. If you're not, think about what he just did and clearly is on the cusp of disrupting an industry. And and maybe this will be his last podcast. Maybe he'll get taken out because the cabinet people don't want him to do this. I don't know.
The caveman
Tino,
will
I'm saying,
rise up.
yeah, Tino, be careful. They might be throwing rocks, but good news is they probably have shitty aim, so you'll be fine.
What are some of the challenges that came up that you weren't expecting?
The challenge is with all underfunded startups is getting a bunch of faithful to continue working nights and weekends with a potential, with a promise, with the hope that this is worth their nights and weekends, and their arguments with their partners have been worth it. The
So
and so
it
and then
wasn't the product, it was the selling the dream to the people that you needed to help you fulfill the dream
well,
was the
yeah,
challenge.
I can't do this I can't reinvent the industry by myself, I
So,
had to have some pretty deep expertise.
right. So you have the subject matter experts, but you've also have to have the people who can create this digital asset for you. That must be a really interesting conversation between cabinet to digital programmer.
No, no, because everyone in this industry, they've thought about it. They thought about it 10 years ago when 3D printers came on the scene.
Okay, that's good
But
because
but
I
no
can just
one's
see.
really.
So here we are in 26 in March, 800,000 of backlog. What do you see? What is your growth plan? What is your plan to continue to scale? What are you focused on?
So as they have larger projects, the contractors, the larger ones, for example, restoration hardware, they called me 2 weeks ago because they they were previously
How about that for a name drop, Big Daddy?
Dude, that's a total name drop, Tino. Leave the name dropping to me, buddy. Huh? Restoration
Chris is
hardware.
pretty
Dude, you
jealous right now.
my
Little bit?
it's swollen. And hey, by the way, can you put a good word in for me? Restoration hardware. So tell me about this.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. That is
Do they
a
have
huge one,
how many
dude.
stores do they have? One in Buckhead, where else?
Restoration Hardware's got the one Buckhead here. I know my wife has hit the restaurants in West Palm, Orlando, Napa Valley. Where else? Oh, Jesus, she's at them all. Yeah. I'm talking about the restaurants, not the stores, but you know what I mean. You know where I'm going.
Yeah,
So,
so the design architect who's in charge of all the new store refreshes, he told me that they previously had centralized manufacturing, bottlenecks around a single factory, as well as the distribution to all the different stores. And if something's miscut, it has to come from half a country away. That was super inefficient. The other way they tried was through the GCs and their local subs. Too much variance. I heard that you're the single throat to choke for a distributed network of manufacturers, pre-qualified manufacturers, and said, yeah. So if we develop your library, you'll be able to scale it to whatever that building needs, and it'll be converted into machine instructions for localized manufacturing for that consistency and speed and de-risking and decosting the process. And so so we'll follow those kinds of customers around the country.
I
And
would
as
too, buddy.
we, I'm
I
sorry.
would follow them. I would follow them all over the place, like a dog who has a bone, like a dog who needs a leg, like
with his fly open,
with its fly open.
hat in
Oh
hand.
my God, what a great pull! So if restaurant, because for those not in the business, um, whenever a customer says their inspo is restoration hardware, I know where we're going. It's a high end customer,
Mhm.
and their stuff is amazing. It's high quality. It's beautiful. It's ornate. It is not stuff you're picking up at IKEA and slapping together. It's not stuff you're picking up at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, wherever you are in the world, in the U.S. or even internationally. You're just not. These are not stock boxes, man. This is all good stuff. So that's great.
So right now you're I'm assuming you're niched geographically, and then as say Restoration Hardware says, hey, we need this in Cleveland, you've got to find a manufacturer that wants to play ball.
Yeah, we've already got 50 who have over 50 around the country who raised their hands because they understand if we're going to supply the machine instructions and the materials, their profit rates are going to be super high and their level of effort is going to be super low.
Yeah, you're coming to them with
And
basically the golden goose. You're like,
Found
look,
money.
here you go. You know all that stuff you had to bang yourself around
yeah,
for and sell a sales guy on, and then beat your head against the wall because the GC was off a half an inch and he's blaming you. Look, I've got it all. Boom. All you have to do is
yeah,
follow these instructions, click it up. You get to do it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when most people are going home. You can fit you fit it in when you got your off hours, whatever. That's awesome.
yep.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. That's and if you did think about that and you're driving around going, well, Chris, I was already there. Thank you. I was the guy with the fly down. Don't forget that. So, um, Tino, this is great, man. HelloBaru.com. Great thing. If you're in the business, go figure it out. If you're not, I think this is the thing, the kind of opportunity that people, it's fun to look at somebody else who's in a totally different business than yours and see what you did to see how to do this because that's where the great innovation happens. And I think that's where, we've had some great people come on the podcast, and I've heard about the one I'm thinking about is Menlo Park Innovations up in Ann Arbor that has two programmers for every one computer. I had somebody bring that up to me just the other day, talking about how innovative that approach was, that they never thought about that, even in the construction industry. And I said, that's interesting, but the reason we don't do it is because of the perceived cost of labor. And but still, if you do it the right way, it works. And Tino, it seems like you're onto something, man, and you're building it. So congrats, keep it going. Is there anything else you want to tell us? How everybody obviously can get a hold of you? HelloBaru.com. That's pretty easy to remember.
Yeah, it's Tino at hellobaru.com. I'm always looking for customers, of course, collaborators. They could be channel partners, they could be contractors, they could even be white label resellers. Um,
Hmm.
there's a Mountain View design build shop there that they want to. I proposed instead of them selling our product, we could build their product and they can leverage their name. And then I'm also looking for investors or other kinds of support like that.
All right, Tino, you got a great idea going, man. This has been great. Thanks for coming on and sharing it with us. I know it's been a little while since we have met, so I'm glad we got you on. I'm going to go check it out. But I go again, man. It's just if you're like, blah, 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 I'm not getting into cabinets. Don't blah, 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 man.
We
Think,
need to put like a little calendar reminder and check in with Tino because
all right.
I love the way he's just methodically, thoughtfully going through this.
Well, next time, Tino, you're in Atlanta, ping me before you get here, and we're going to bring you in person so you can come to the Small Business Safari Bourbon Fest that we like to have every week, guys. You keep going up that mountain, make it all happen. You know what? There's trials, there's tribulations. Sometimes you run out there and run sales with your fly down. Sometimes you talk to somebody on this podcast that's way flipping smarter than you.
Hmm.
Right, Alan?
Almost always.
Damn it, he's been good. And he is very sharp. Tino, best of luck to you, man. We're going to put a podcast reminder on this. 26. We're going to check back with you in about another year. But when you're coming into Atlanta, just ping me on the email. We know we went back and forth on that. I'd love to catch up with you again when you're coming through. And man, continued success, man.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
And to the rest of you,
Thank you.
continued success, entrepreneurship. That's what we're here for. Small businesses make up all the business in the world. We've got some great episodes coming up. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell your family. It's the Small Business Safari. We'll catch you on the podcast next week.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.